Hey, Wally,
Hey, Cobrettie.
guess what?
What?
I think we should play a wrestling video game.
You know what? Those are our favorite video games next to other ones called RPGs.
Since we had so much fun playing Kinnikuman, released in 1985, we're going to play another game released in 1985.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's got to be a good one because 1985 has turned out to be a very good year so far.
Let's watch a commercial about this video game.
Commercial?
Commercial.
Wait a second. Everyone is E in 1985?
It's see, 1985, right there.
But Mat Mania? Exciting Hour? Arcade Archives?
It was in the arcades in 1985.
Well, but we're talking about 1985 graphics, right?
Well, this is 1985 graphics.
Console?
No, arcade.
But I thought we didn't talk about arcades.
But it's on the console.
But it's an arcade graphic.
Yes, where you can buy it on a console.
Oh, so we're playing an arcade console game that was in 1985, but now in 2014, according to the copyright date, but I think it was 2015.
Mat Mania, made by Technos, former Data East, who did the tag team arcade. You may be asking,
3 years earlier, might you?
You may be asking yourself, why aren't you reviewing Tag Team? It came out onto the Famicom NES, but that version was way before, and that was only on arcade. And the arcade version was different than the console version that's coming later.
So, very interesting timeline already. So, you really think about it. Technos has created a very complicated timeline within their games,
Yes, they have.
which is boggling all of our minds in this whole conversation. But as for Mat Mania, it did come out in 1985 in the arcades.
And it was surprisingly popular.
It was.
So there's other media related to the arcade version of this game. A lot of publications for arcades, think of them as earning reports. Operators get to go through, figure out what arcades are making money, what they should buy. This was one of the more prominent ones on there, especially for the conversion kit.
Yeah, yeah. I guess that's good back then. I mean, that was about the only way they could find out, if they should invest in their arcade systems. And again, being the third highest grossing arcade game in 1986, this helps them out to purchase that system, put them in their arcades.
So usually we would, tell you which magazines you could find this at, but it was a obscure Japanese magazine. Well, not even obscure. It was a Japanese magazine. I think it may have been Gamist. They cover pretty much arcades. They're not necessarily a gamer focused, but more of an owner focused magazine. And honestly, I couldn't find it that interesting. Similarly, in America, the magazine Cashbox that dealt with jukeboxes, pinball tables, and arcades covered Mat Mania. Once again, earnings reports, nothing too interesting.
Yeah, if you just want to look up what the earnings of games were back in a certain era, go ahead and look that up. Arcade games at that.
Also, information was available on Top Score, a arcade newsletter that showed, once again, Mat Mania coming in at the number 3 spot, and also had the high scores of various arcades. And for Mat Mania, the high score was at 5 million. Twin Galaxies also released an article in 2016 of somebody beating the 30-year record that was in Top Score magazine and producing a record of 9,999,000. Mike Lumbo Lombardi played the game for 6 hours straight. Why anybody would want to play a game for that long is beyond me.
That's about the only thing we could come up with to find. But again, research on the internet, you'd be surprised what you find. But we're trying to give you the absolute truth on what's out there and what's not. To be the third highest grossing arcade game, a wrestling game, that's impressive.
That is pretty impressive. I think originally Tag Team did well, and this kind of follows it in its footsteps. It's not quite reaching the level that Technos will reach later on, but this is kind of like the beginning. This is like the grandfather of the Technos arcade games.
And that's true. But again, we're pushing up all the way from 1985 to 2015 and comparing the two together.
It's just semantics.
It is semantics. But it's fun to boggle the mind. Are you doing 2015 or are you doing 1985? Seeing how we don't have the arcade, the closest thing we could come to was.
Now, my idea or my thoughts on this game would be totally different if we owned the arcade. Because the arcade going now is you found a copy for how much?
I found a copy of it for about $2,900.
Yeah, we're not buying that one.
No.
I think we're going to stick with the $7.99?
The $7.99 PSN. Yeah.
PSN and on Switch.
And on Switch. And again, no difference between each version between the Switch and
Nope,
the...
there is a slight difference.
Whoa! There is?
Take it back. The Switch version has one option that is easier to do. So the arcade was flipped in the monitor where you had your normal television 4x3.
Right.
Well, it was turned 90 degrees, so it was 3x4, and it's hot dog instead of hamburger. So with your Switch, you can turn your Switch to the side if you wanted to, take the Joy-Cons off, and play it closer to the native aspect on a smaller screen.
Wow.
Or you can play in a bigger screen and just have really big bars on the sides.
To be honest, shows you what some of the cool things about the Switch still are that you can't do on certain consoles. Well, unless you want to rotate your TV. Yeah, not into that.
Yeah, especially if you have an old CRT trying to rotate that.
Yeah, those are
that 300-pound Sony beast.
Yep. You roll that on the side, it may not come back up.
Yep.
Yeah. But the interesting thing about this game has been, that it's survived and it came back from 1985 to 2015, and we played it.
Yep. So let's go through our playthrough, talk a little bit more about the game and what we have coming up. Starting off, you have a kind of a TV announcer at the beginning that has the TWA, which looks a lot like the World Championship Wrestling. Not WCW, because this was before that. The TVS style World Championship Wrestling Globe.
And you notice here, right off the back, you have a character called Insane Warrior.
Totally original character, not based off of anything.
Definitely original. No comparison to any other wrestler that might have been popular.
Yeah, purely coincidental. Just like that whole thing you get before the movies. Any things are living or dead.
Yeah.
Purely coincidental.
No Road Warrior looking.
Type
thing. To be honest, looking at the game and playing the game, it's actually very smooth, very easy. Graphics really aren't bad.
Yep. You get the grappling system is you just kind of run into them and you have a direction button plus a combination of different buttons to perform moves. You won't really be seeing these moves because we're going to be spamming the good old shoulder block technique throughout the whole game.
Well, but to be honest, I think the computer spams these moves as well.
Yep, that is true. So, one good spam gives another.
Another spam? Another spam? And already a 3 count against the Insane Warrior. So that's one. It's interesting. You're going to be fighting unique characters as well. And this unique character is Karate Fighter.
See, now, this is just purely unique. Would you call it unique? Or since he's so generic, is he no longer unique?
I think based off of wrestling itself, I think he's unique.
Oh, okay.
I think they were trying to invent a character for wrestling, and I don't think wrestling picked it up.
Well, what about Hakushi later? It was Hakushi, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think it was Hakushi. But if you notice, the punch, you kick, and then you have the shoulder block. One interesting other fact about this game, unfortunately you won't see us do it, is top rope abilities.
Yep. Top rope abilities. You have a couple of interesting things about the presentation of the game. You have the ring with the World Championship Wrestling Globe. Outside, you have cameramen, filming the action. You have a referee that actually goes back and forth between the ring. And look at the audience. It's a
Finkel.
varied...
It's got to be Finkel.
It is Finkel.
The ref has got to be Finkel.
Yeah, he's got the cul-de-sac going.
He got the cul-de-sac.
As a future, cul-de-sac member, or well on my way of being a cul-de-sac member.
I feel you. Haircut for men. Here we come. And again, when Finkel stands up, notice the mustache.
Is that a mustache, or he's got this like disapproving look?
It might be disapproving because he can't believe we actually won.
Now Coco Savage. Now this character is based off of Bobo Brazil.
Yeah. And to be honest, if Bobo Brazil was as hard as Coco Savage is, it's amazing he didn't be champion his entire career.
He should have been Bruno San Martino's reign in Champions.
Yes. This guy was impossible, but believe it or not, we did it in one shot. Our first try.
Yeah, our first try. Yeah, we definitely did not open up the pause menu and go through save states and have to reload again and again and play for hours for 10 minutes of video.
No, that's just impossible.
Just once.
Just one time.
Just don't do any like audio spectrometer, things.
I mean, you will see here only one time. Only one time. And the good thing is when you beat him, you feel very satisfied.
Most people would, because most people would have to do it again and again and again, but we only did it once.
Yes, and I'm very proud of us for doing it only once. And again, the action, the background music in the game has been constant. It does get repetitive, but there is a spontaneity to it. When your health goes down or to a point where you're going to get pinned, the player, the music speeds up.
Yeah, it gives it a little bit more sense of urgency.
It does, and makes you really focus on defense more than offense. But in this game, it is all offense.
All right, next up we have the Piranha.
Piranha. I mean, that's got to be a unique character, right?
Of course. I mean, who else would have a kind of piranha or shark mask? Or luchador.
Or luchador or anything. The great thing is it is unique. It is not like Mil Mascaras.
Exactly. Now, even further going into totally unique characters, if you look at the background of the crowd, I mean, we have Darth Vader. Oh, the claw! Did you see that?
Oh, I saw the claw. Oh,
that's almost like a Von Erich move right there.
Is. You know what else is interesting in the background? You can see Popeye.
Yep.
You see the Superman.
Yes, he's personally my favorite because instead of an S on his chest, he has suit.
Yep. The other interesting side is ZZ Top is in there.
Are they just in the arcade game, or are they actually in this?
We'd have to really search.
I see Stevie.
Stevie's in there.
I see Stevie. I think we saw Johnny Rotten.
Yes, we saw Johnny Rotten.
Wasn't there like Wendy Williams with them as well? If you go to the outside, but I'm not seeing any ZZ Top at the moment.
I do believe there is a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Once you get to the outside of the ring, if you go to the far side, you will see Stay Puft.
So, first cameo appearances in video games?
You could say this. Yes.
Oh, he's pinned us down. Managed to kick out.
Very interesting. This match has gone back and forth so far. But, as you can tell in the gameplay, it is still spamming the moves.
Yes.
There's really not a whole lot. The downside to this game as well, per the PS4 port, it is only one player.
And we definitely did not have a skip in the audio right there, so we could do another save state.
No.
Just in case we lost. But we knew we weren't going to lose.
Yeah, there was no way we would lose. I mean, come on, Golden Hulk.
Yeah, this is another totally original character of the Golden Hulk.
The Golden Hulk. Wow, it kind of sounds like Bruiser Brody.
Yeah, because no. See, he looks like Bruiser Brody, but capitalize on a popularity of a certain Hulk that had golden hair. They had a Golden Hulk originally in the arcades. He was Blues Bloody. Which sounds a little bit like, a Bruiser Brody. I gotta have to tell you, they kept all the original programming, and this is definitely Bruiser Brody.
Yeah, I have to agree. But again, They're not using anybody in this game. It's all unique characters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be a copyright infringement.
It would be, and I don't think there's any unlicensed wrestling game that doesn't use any characters. I think they all are.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. Whenever Fire Pro releases their roster and it has 200 plus characters, they're 200 all unique characters.
Don't!
We're the champions.
We're the champions. We won. We are the winners.
I mean, what do you get?
We have beaten the game. We will have a trophy, a belt, and a pixelated lady giving us flowers.
Oh, we got a kiss.
We got a kiss. We got a kiss.
Now, as you can continue playing the game, you can go further, and you actually keep on going against all the challengers until you lose.
The same challengers. There are no other challengers in this, unfortunately.
Now, whenever you lose, however, then the credits roll. So if you would like to see our full playthrough, I mean, this was 8 minutes and definitely did not take us an hour to get to 8 minutes, right?
No, it wasn't. Maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Had to do a little bit of editing to
just a tad.
Because there is a save state just to make sure we could get through. But it got to be about 10 minutes. No way it was like an hour and a half.
So if you would like to go through, see our playthrough, and see, the ending of the game, the credits, make sure to check out our other video shortly following this one. Our first game playthrough, our grand champion was Kinnikuman because he had no competition.
No.
So we're looking at Mat Mania Wrestling versus Kinnikuman. Who is the grand champion?
I'm going to have to give it to Mat Mania. It's just better graphics, better gameplay.
Better controls, better grappling.
Better, and again, it's not because it's 2015. The arcade version, from what we read and what we've seen, was very tight in what it did. So I think it also has a challenge meter compared to Kinnikuman. You're scaling, and when I talk scaling, Coco Savage, that is some level scaling I've ever seen. But the challenge is there, and I think the game is great.
But this game is missing a very important part that would separate it from being, you know what, I consider this a good game, but there's something missing before I would consider it a great game. Co-op, absolute co-op.
Yeah.
You going against a friend and being able to perform more of the grappling moves and not have to rely so much on the shoulder butts and the trickery, and actually playing it as a wrestling game.
That's true. That's very true. Because as you saw when we played one-player game only, we spam moves. You couldn't really see top rope dives. You didn't see a whole lot of the grapple moves that you could do.
Suplexes, pile drivers.
There's so many things that unfortunately you don't see because of the game being a single player, which takes away a little bit. If you are just a single player person, this game is great for you. But so far, when we played Kinnikuman, we played against each other. It was fun battling against each other and going back and forth and laughing and having a good time. This one was one of us laughing at the other one.
Yes, exactly. So, tag team champion, still Kinnikuman. World champion, Mat Mania.
Mat Mania, yep.
TV
agree.
champion. I mean, this is coming up pretty close. We're talking about who would be the best budget game for TV champion. Kinnikuman, if you can get the game without getting it shipped, it's actually really cheap.
Really cheap.
Like we said, you can find listings for 99 cents. Shipping is going to cost you more.
Yeah.
But this is $7.99 delivered to you.
Immediately downloaded.
Yep.
Depending on your connection speed. But then again, what if somebody can't get it downloaded? Or what if they don't have a chance to play it? That's way off in the distance there. But, and then Kinnikuman, you got to think, you're playing it on a retro system. A lot of people who aren't collectors may not have them.
And you also got to think about the accessories that go to playing a retro system onto a newer TV. If you're buying a retro tank, does that take the budget consideration out?
Yeah, so, right now, I'm going to say TV champion. I'm going to have to give it to Mat Mania.
Oh, I'm actually going to have to disagree with you on that one. We'll have to go to the booking committee, but I'm going to go with Kinnikuman just because I will go back and we will play Kinnikuman versus each other for, shits and giggles and laughs.
So you can whip on me again.
Yep. But are you ever going to play Mat Mania again?
Will I ever play Kinnikuman again? Is the question. Because I don't think I'll play either one right now.
Oh, that is true. I mean, there is just so many.
There are so many games, and
There are
and
so many
as we
great
continue
wrestling
to
games
play,
out there.
Yes, and as more games come out, we have to continue playing those, and then jumping back into one or two. To be honest, let's call it a tie.
So we're going to have a sudden death match.
We'll have to have a sudden death
for the TV championship.
for the TV championship.
A cage scaffold match.
Yeah, that sounds like the perfect match for this.
Yes. So on that terrible note, make sure to catch us next week as we'll be reviewing another game from 1985. Is it Champion? Championship? Champion Pro Wrestler? Championship Pro Wrestling?
We'll have to find out next week.
Yes, but I do believe it is Champion Pro Wrestling for the Sega SG-1000.
And having champion in the name makes it a champion.
Exactly.